Okay, so what I'm going to cover here is how to add doors and windows. And the process is very similar. There's just about maybe one or two things different when we add windows, or one or two properties that we need to consider when adding windows. So let's jump into the doors. I just created, I just added some walls in no particular with no particular reason. These walls are the basic wall exterior, wood siding on wood stud, and I just kind of quickly created some walls. I actually didn't even set the top constraint, so they're just unconnected 20 feet. So this is just for reference. Okay. So when we add doors, we're going to come up here to the ribbon window under the architecture tab and click on doors. And just like walls, we're going to click the icon right up here, right in the properties box, and you'll see that we have different options for some doors. Okay. Now these are different door families, and a family just means that it's a pre-built object that we can insert into our Revit file. We have what is it? One, two, three, four different door types to choose from. Now, the most common one is a single flush door. Okay, this is your typical interior swinging door. So we're going to work with this. Okay. Now, within residential projects, your minimum width is 32 inches. In commercial projects, it's 36 inches. Okay. And it's also the height should be 6'8" minimum in commercial and 7 feet in sorry, 6'8" in residential and 7 feet in commercial buildings. Okay, so when you convert that into inches, that means it's 80 inches for residential and 84 inches in commercial. Okay, so we're not going to, I'm going to go ahead and choose this 32 inch by 84 inches. Okay, so 32 inches is the minimum width. 84 is a little bit above. We're going to go ahead and, which is 7 feet. We're just going to go ahead and select this one. And there's my door. Okay, 32 by 84. Now we'll notice that we have the sill height that's set to 0, 0. Remember, the sill is the bottom of the door. And for right now, we're going to go ahead and just leave it at 0, 0. I'm going to move my cursor into the screen, into the work area, and you'll notice that I get that little circle with the line across saying that I can't add anything. But if I move my cursor closer to the wall, all of a sudden I get a door. Okay. Now I haven't clicked anything. I'm not pressing on anything. If I move my cursor, notice that my cursor is on the exterior side of the wall. If I move my cursor down to the interior side, you'll notice that the door flips. Okay. If I wanted to, I could also hit the space bar. Okay. And that is going to flip the door swing. So let's say I wanted to place the door over here, okay, on this side, and I just want to change the orientation. I could go ahead and do that as well. Okay. Now, once you're ready to add it, I will go ahead and click to add, and there we have it. Okay. It'll automatically add that door inside there. Now, I mentioned in the drawing that I want this to be 4 inches away from the wall. We look at my temporary dimensions. The temporary dimension is set to the center of the door. Now, this is a new Revit file, so the previous changes and settings that I had created for temporary dimensions have not been, that was for the previous file. So let me go into our Manage tab, Additional Settings, Annotations, and then Temporary Dimensions. Let's change this back to, let's go to Faces and Openings. And you'll notice that doors and windows is set to center lines. So that's why right now it was giving me a temporary dimension to the center of the door, which was 2 feet. What I want is to the openings, which is to the opening of the door. So I'll hit OK. Now let's click on this, and there we have it. We have a temporary dimension that is from the face to the opening. So now all I will do is just click inside there, 0 space 4, change that to 4 inches, and we're set. Okay, so let's do that one more time. Architecture, door. We choose the door we want. Make sure we have the sill height correct. And then I'll go ahead and come over to this side. Okay, and this time I'll go ahead and place it to the exterior side. I'll hit the escape key twice just to get out of the door command. I'll select the door, and let's go ahead and change this to, this is an exterior door. We can go ahead and change this to 1 foot. So I'll hit 1, enter. Okay. Now, if for whatever reason I accidentally click in the wrong direction and say, you know what, this actually should swing inside, I have the door selected, or I'll select the door. And when I do that, you'll notice I get these two, I'll get these two arrows, right? So these are our flip grips. So I can go ahead and click on this arrow this way, and that's going to flip it to the other side. And if I click on this arrow from side to side, it's going to flip the orientation, just like that. Okay. So that's how those are the general steps on how to add a door. But what if we want to change the size of a door? So let's go to door again. Right, I just finished saying that the general width, or the minimum width for a door on a residential project is 32 inches width, but the height is 6'8", which is 80 inches in height. But when I look at my options here, I only have a 32 by 84. I don't have a 32 by anything else, right? So what I can do is I'll go ahead and select the 32 by 84. And what we're going to do is edit this type. So I'm going to click on edit type. And this is very important that we duplicate this. So what we're going to do here is we're going to tell Revit, hey, I want you to copy this property, these properties here, into a new door type. Okay. I don't want to make any changes here because all of these settings are for a 32 by 84 door. So I want to duplicate this. And it's asking me, what do you want to name it? So I'm going to name this. It's always best practice to name it the size that you're going to want. Now, I can't stress this enough. Just by changing the name, that does not change any settings. This is just the name. So I could actually call this best door ever, right? And I could hit OK, and it does nothing to the settings. So right now we are simply determining or entering the name of the door. So I'm going to set it to 32, we got the X, by 80. I'll hit OK. And now you'll notice that my type properties changed. So now this is a 32 by 80. This is my 32 by 80 door. Okay. But again, all we did was change the name. What we really need to do is come down here to the dimensions. Now, this is the thing I always find odd, is that the door names are always set to inches, but when we go into the properties and we look at the dimensions, they're set to feet. Okay, they're set to feet and inches, which is a little confusing. If you don't want to do the math, we can simply just go inside here and type in 80 inches. I'm using the quotation mark for the inches. Okay, and I'll hit the tab key, and you'll see that that automatically converts it to 6'8". If I'm not sure about the width, let's go ahead and just 32 inches, tab, and it'll convert that to 2'8". Inside the dimensions, by changing these parameters, that now changes the actual properties of the door. Okay, up here, that's just changing the name. This is where we actually change the property. So we change the height to 6'8" and the width to 2'8". Okay, those are the two things we changed. I'm not going to get into changing the thickness of the door or the trim width or how far the trim actually projects. We're not going to get into that level of detail, but we can do that if we wanted to actually do that. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and hit apply and then OK. And now when I click over here on my pull down, I have my original 32 by 84 door, and I now have my new 32 by 80 door. So I could go ahead and click this, leave the silk height at 0, 0, and I'll go ahead and place my door right there. Hit the escape key, click on it, and then change this to 0 space 4, enter. Let's take a quick look at that in the elevation. So I'll double click on this triangle, and that takes me to the elevation view. And here are my doors, right? I talked about the swing, the dashed line, right? Where the triangle is pointing to, that's the hinge side. Okay, so the door is going to hinge off of this side here. Okay, and if you look closely enough, we could, if we're looking at the siding, you'll notice that this door is slightly taller than this door. That's because this is our 80-inch door. Okay. All right, let's go back to our floor plan. Now, what if we go into add a door and you say, I don't want any of these doors. This is a closet door. This is kind of an odd set of doors, and I only have 4 sets. What if I want a different type of door? Well, then that's when we go into load family. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click load family. And I get this dialog box that pops up. Okay. Now inside here is our families, and I have all of these folders. If you don't have any folders in here, it means that you did not download the content library. So you're going to have to go back to the earlier lectures where I discuss where I'm talking about getting started and downloading Revit. And I walk you through the steps on how to download the content library into and install it into Revit. So go back and check that out if you do not have these folders here, okay? But you should have these folders, and these are all of the families that exist inside Revit. So I'm going to double click into the doors folder, and here I have different sets of doors, okay? You have some double doors, you have overhead doors, okay, all sorts of doors. Then we also have a breakdown, a folder of commercial doors, okay? So this is if we want any commercial doors. Let's go back. We also have some hardware for the doors, and then residential. Okay. And we have a preview over here on the right-hand side. So let's go ahead and say, you know what? I want to add these double full glass wood cladded doors. Now, the reason why we have families is because if we were to actually download and install all of these doors, one, we would have a very long list of doors to choose from, but two, we would also it would also enlarge the file size of our working file, which slows the computer down. So Revit always is trying to preserve your file sizes. So it only uploads or installs a certain amount of families onto your project file. So we're going to go in here, and let's say we want to add this one. I'll just select it. I'll hit open. Now, some doors come with this pop-up. Some of them will just automatically upload. What this is asking me is, instead of uploading every single door that it has, right? These are all presets. Perhaps we just want to choose one door. Okay, so maybe we want the 64 by 80 door. So we can highlight that and hit OK. But if you want to install all of them, we could select the top one, scroll all the way down, and then hold down the Shift key on the keyboard and click, and that's going to highlight all of them. And then I would hit OK. You selected many families to load. We'll hit yes. It's just warning us, letting us know that we've selected a lot of families, more than just one. And now it's installing those families, those door families, into our Revit file. Okay. Now we should be able to find it right up here. Once it's done, we begin to see it right there. So if I click on this pull down, I now have all of those doors installed in Revit. So I can go ahead and select this. So let's say 64 by 80. If I wanted to, I could go into edit type, duplicate it, and then also change the width and the height. If I wanted to specify my own width and my own height, I could do that right inside there, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm going to hit cancel. And let's go ahead, and this one, let's flip out over here in this direction. And I'll just go ahead and place it right there. Okay. And so that's how we locate additional doors. So again, that's doors. and load family. And then select the doors, go into the doors folder and select the doors that you want. So it's that simple. That's how we add doors. Now, how about windows? Windows work almost the same way. So let's go ahead and instead of doors, let's come over here to the right where it says windows. And let's click on the pull down and we have fixed with trim, window casement double, and window double hung. Those are the only 3 windows that we have. Now, just like the doors, we have other windows we could choose from. But let's go ahead and click on, let's do a large window, 36 by 72. Now, this is where we say check to refer to the sill height. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and place a door. Sorry, this is a window with a sill height of 1 foot. So I'm going to move my cursor. Okay. Now, really quickly, let's actually zoom in here. And actually, not really quickly. You'll notice that when I move my cursor to the exterior side, oops, this is that. I'm going to go. That wall is incorrect. And we'll talk about that in a minute. When I move my cursor over to the exterior side, right, you'll notice that I get that double line on the top side. Watch what happens when I move it to the downside. You can see it a little bit better, right? I'm talking about right in the middle, right there where my cursor is at right now. Okay, and you'll notice that as I move my cursor up and down, that's flipping. What is changing, what's flipping, is the placement of the glass. Okay, now when we do general drawings, typically we'll just draw the glass right into the center of the wall. However, that doesn't really work that way. Typically, the glass is as close to the exterior as possible. Okay, so let me go ahead and just click so we can talk about that really quickly. I'll hit the escape key a couple times just to get out. The glass typically is closer to the exterior side, and the reason for that is rainwater. Okay, when it rains, you do not want water puddling on your windowsill on the exterior side. So if the window was on the inside, then you have a larger amount of rainwater captured right on the sill. So we would typically move the glass to the exterior side, typically. Okay, there are certain conditions where we might want to actually move it on the inside, but that's more of a design aesthetic. When it came to windows, all we do was click on it, select the one we want, and then click the location. We can now select the window and adjust the location of it and say, let me want this 3 feet 6 inches. Okay. Now I place this window with a windowsill height of 1 foot. So let's take a quick look at what that looks like. Zoom out, and here's my windowsill. Now this was a 72-inch window, which means that this is 6 feet in height. Okay. So 6 feet in height plus 1 foot sill means that it's set to 7 feet. If I scroll down here, the bottom, I have a head height, and it tells me right there that that's 7 feet. I can always select this and move this to, let's say, 8 feet. We hit apply, and it moves up to 8 feet. If we want to move, if we change this to, say, 6 feet, type in 6, and that moves. Okay. Now, by doing that, it's also adjusting the sill height. So let's go back over here. Let's change that to 8. Hit apply, it moves up there, but let's take a look at the sill height, and you'll notice that the sill height also changes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring this back to 1 foot. I will hit apply. And now let's go back to the first floor. Okay, let's create another window. Oh, it's asking me to save, so let's cancel because I'm not going to really save this file. This time, let's go with the smaller window. Let's go with a 16-inch window. And I can say, you know what? I want the head height to match my 80-inch. Okay, my 80-inch height door. So let's change the head height to 80 inches. I'm using, again, quotations for the inch mark. I'll hit apply. And now I'll move my cursor over here. And again, make sure that the window is on the exterior side, and then I'm going to click. and nothing happens. Okay, I don't see anything. Well, let me try it again. Let's go ahead and click right there. Nothing happens. Click right there. Nothing happens. Okay. Can anyone tell me why that's not working? Anyone? Yes, you. Just kidding. I know this is recording and you can't answer because I'm not there with you. But we can go to the north elevation and take a look. The window's there. So it did get placed, but it's not there in our floor plan. The reason why we don't see it is because the floor plan is cut at 4 feet above the finished floor. So 4 feet above is going to be somewhere right around here. And so we don't actually see it in a floor plan. Okay. Because the cut line for our floor plan is set to 4 feet. So just be considerate and just be conscious of where you're placing these windows and their heights and the size of the window. Because if it's a small window, then you might not actually grab it. It might not actually grab it in the actual floor plan, even though it actually is there. Okay. Now, one more thing. Let's go back to Windows. Now with the Windows, we have the same option. You go to Edit Type. We could also duplicate and change this to, let's say, we want a 30-inch by, I don't know, let's go 48-inch. And hit OK. Again, this is only changing the name. Okay. So 30-inch, this is the width. So let's change this to 30-inch. And then the height is set to 48 inches. Now we could also enter the default sill height. So if we wanted to, we can enter, the height that it's defaulted to come in. I never do, just because we could always make that change in the property. So I'm just going to hit apply, leave it as is, and I'll hit OK. And now we have a 30-inch by 48-inch door. And I'll set the head height to 7 feet. And now let's go ahead and place that right over here. Okay. Now, lastly, just like the doors, if these are the windows, if these windows we do not like or we want more options, we could go into load family. Let's go back. Oh, let's click on this pull down. Let's go back one more. Oops, what's going on here? Let's go to English Imperial US. There we go. We got to go back over here. We could scroll down all the way at the bottom and click on find the Windows folder. We'll double click. And here we have different types of windows. So if I wanted to do a window awning or a casement window, sorry, a bay casement. Okay. We have fixed oval, double hung. Let's say we want to add a double hung window. We'll just hit open. And it's going to be the same exact thing. I'm not going to upload a whole bunch of them. I'm just going to select one and hit OK. Oh, of course, I uploaded a window that is already existing. But you get the point. We can go ahead and upload windows from the load family folder, and then just making sure that we select the window that we want from the Windows folder. Okay. So here we have window double hung. I just made sure to select the window that we actually already have uploaded, but it would be here. Or if you chose any other window, we would see that here as well. Okay. And that's it. That's how we go about adding doors and windows inside Revit.